So the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic has seen the South African film industry face unprecedented challenges. In response to this, a proposal by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture to administer the process of sector recovery and employment creation has been finalized and will be overseen by the National Film and Video Foundation and the National Arts Council. The deadline for the application has since been extended to allow for more practitioners, companies and projects that incurred losses during the COVID-19 lockdown period to apply. To speak to us more on this issue, we are joined by the Head of Operations from the National Film and Video Foundation, Nomazulu Mda. Nomazulu, thank you for your time. Good morning and thank you for joining us on Weekend Dawn. 140 million rand. Is that enough to recover the 6 to even 9 months of no work due to the COVID-19 pandemic?
Morning, Jacob. 140 million rand may sound like it's money that just begins to wash the face in film and video industry. But I think seen in context, you have to understand that this is much needed capital to inject into the sector that has been so negatively affected by COVID. I mean, you mentioned 6 to 9 months of downtime is quite a lot, and it would have had a huge impact on, one, the livelihoods, but two, on the contribution that the sector has or makes in the economy. So I think it goes quite a long way. 140 million. Yes, if government had the ability to invest a lot more, it would have been great. But I think this begins to actually serve the purpose of stimulating the much needed economic revival.
So who specifically will be benefiting from this 140 million rand? And is the process of getting that money, is it easy? Is it a smooth process?
Yes, so people who will be benefiting is what we call industry practitioners. So in the audiovisual sector, and these basically include cast, crew, individuals, companies who basically work in the screen sector. And these could be anyone ranging from production companies. It could be people who work as directors, cinematography, the entire title chain, basically, or people involved in the title chain of a typical production. And ordinarily, the NFVF has extremely strict or stringent entry requirements or qualification requirements for our normal programs. But for the presidential employment stimulus, these have literally been stripped to bear to enable a lot of people to qualify for the stimulus. For instance, the call, and I must just mention that the call's closing date has now passed. It was 10 December. It ran over a period of about 5 weeks from 30 October to 10 December. And we had split it into 4 streams, which was one production, and production would really look at production companies that work on concepts such as fiction, non-fiction. It could be TV series, could be web series. That was the first stream. The second stream was skills development, basically has to do with training across the board in the audiovisual sector. Third stream would be distribution. And distribution basically talks to taking products to market, to cinema, taking products to outdoor screening activities. For instance, a fantastic example of the innovative ways of having safe screening and safe viewing of television properties and of cinema properties is what we call the drive-in and the return to the old school drive-in programs. And we had a fantastic render of that at the Mall of Afrika on the 5th of December with one of our partners. And we have one coming up in Garankuwa this weekend. So that is third example. And people, if they want to see, they could go into our website and see how we rendered some of these activities. The fourth stream is what we call business recovery. And it talks to people or practitioners or businesses that are at a high risk of losing employment opportunities due to COVID.
So, Nomazulu, what will it then take for the industry to go back to what it was? Is that still something that is going to happen maybe in a year or two until things go back to the normal that we know?
A combination of factors. I think one, it is the investment that is required, and which government has demonstrated that through the 140 million rand stimulus and other stimulus packages that are being released in other subsectors of the audiovisual or of the creative industry, if you will. So it's a combination of those, that kind of investment, one. And I think it's really important for government to be seen to invest in the economy in terms of resuscitating the economy and to take the lead where necessarily other investors would not be able to. But I think what it does is to show that it's okay for the private sector to come to the party. It's okay for people like the insurance industry who are really, really important for completion of a film, for instance, to come to the party to see that, look, you can actually invest. So I think that would be two. But third, it's very important for us to adhere to safety regulations, because a lot of the work that happens in the audiovisual sector is really contact-based. And now when we're right in the middle of a second wave of COVID, it's very important for film practitioners to adhere to the highest protocols of safety. And I think that those are some of the three, I think, preconditions that are required for the sector to get back into work. The last thing you would want is to go without any precautions, go back into full production without any precautions, and therefore compromise the safety of your crew, which then doesn't necessarily serve your purpose and takes you back to square one. So I think those are some of the preconditions that are required to get the sector back to its feet.
And I think it's worth mentioning the situation that took place in Cape Town a few days ago with the police minister in Camps Bay literally halting a film production on the beach. And they subsequently had to head to court to have the police minister overturn that thinking that they can't actually do any filming during COVID-19 second wave on the beach. In terms of the challenges that film crews are facing, does this really mean that the rules have to be bent a little for them to be able to film again and create jobs?
Jacob, with regards to the specific incident in Cape Town, obviously it's now a matter that is in the courts, and there's strong views about it, about what should have happened and how it should have been handled. And I think it's quite a pity that it played out in the manner that it played out. Probably the parties involved could have handled it better. But obviously, without knowing what the nitty-gritties were on the ground, it's likely difficult then to comment. But I think what's paramount is that it's really important for South Africans to work together, and all, be it state organs, be it film practitioners, it's all important for us, and be it city officials for that matter. It's all important for us to work together to actually be clear about what are the expectations for all parties involved, in terms of what are the rules that are expected to be adhered to, but also what are the necessary then steps to be taken when those rules appear to be compromised. But I think ultimately the important thing is that each one of us has the responsibility to uphold the personal and public safety, communal public safety. And because we want the film industry to get back to work, but we want as well the work to continue in a safe environment. And I do hope that both the police officials and city film officials, as well as the film crews involved, will find each other eventually, and that work or the right conditions can be created for work to take place.
Before I let you go, Nomazulu, I'd like to just check with the National Film and Video Foundation and this stimulus package of 140 million rand. There was an aim to create at least 5,000 employment opportunities and retain or recover a further 3,000 jobs for at least 3 months. Do you think all of this has been ticked? Have the boxes been ticked?
Jacob, I think we're actually quite overwhelmed, because at this point where we are is the point of putting together panels that will adjudicate the applications. And we're sitting with a good, in excess of 24,000 proposals of jobs to be created. And that is against a target of a total net of 8,000 jobs. So from that perspective, I definitely think that South African screen film sector has come to the party with these proposals. Obviously, they have to be put to the stress test to see which ones are legitimate, to see which ones appear to have grit in order to achieve the sustainability that we're looking for. So, but if you look at just purely 24,000 proposals versus a target of 8,000, then I do think that we have ticked the box for now. Obviously, the test is still in the pudding, and we should know around early January, if indeed we have achieved the 8,000 of what we're looking for. But obviously then going into the implementation phase, because the conversation must continue up to the implementation phase, which should take us a good 3 months into, or beyond, slightly beyond 3 months into 2021.
All right, Nomazulu Mda, thank you for your time. That was Nomazulu Mda, Head of Operations from the National Film and Video Foundation, speaking to us about the extension of the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program aimed to benefit the audio-visual industry. As you heard from her, some news will be coming out of that from the end of January. Right now, they are just having a look at all those applications that have come in. At least 8,000 applications are being looked at, and 8,000 employment opportunities are hoped to be created from that initiative. 140 million rand being set aside for that industry.